journey, okay, all these stages that the audience takes, that last stage, that real practical one, but how do I actually do these things to get through the front door, is the sort of thing that people want help with, okay? But how will that affect the organization? Because we can actually use social media to research huge facets of our organization, okay? And particularly, I think, within the artistic section of the organization, it's about choices, okay, and how audiences are responding to works that we might be programming. Let's say we've got a touring production coming in 9 months' time, and we're trying to make a decision on touring product. We haven't decided if we're going to take A or B. Well, social media is going to help us to work out whether we should take A or B. What's the reaction been like to this work elsewhere, using social media as research to help making artistic decisions. And also the last one there is that a financial target. Do we need to hit something that we need to be aware of as a kind of KPI, as a return? So back to that audience question in terms of who is the audience, okay, and what do they need? What does the audience really need from you? Okay, we've been through that question of what do we want the audience to do, but what do they actually need? Okay, now you want them to buy your ticket, but when they come to your organization and they're making a choice, what is that inherent need, and how are you providing that to them? What is it that they want from you? What's the demographic, of course? I mean, I think that's already something that you already have deeply considered. But how many different segments can that demographic split into? Because there's some obvious demographics, and I guess the things we hear about from demographics we've done in terms of audience development in the past is we've gone for a kind of youth demographic, or we say, well, we've got to have a different approach for people over the age of so-and-so because they're not really on this media or this media. But can we segment the audience in many, many different ways? You know, people who like X, Y, and Z. So social media all about fragmentation and segmentation, and we can get to these groups of people that we've never really been able to get to before. The people who like both knitting and science fiction and teddy bears, you know? I mean, we can get to those people. They might be a small number, but we can get to them in a way that just wasn't previously practical before. But within that, how do they behave? And what sort of channels they use? Because different people and different segments will use channels very differently. So we heard the Pinterest thing, okay? So now I'm thinking if I want to hit the kind of 45 plus female demographic, maybe I'll use Pinterest rather than something else. There's a sort of, I think initially when Twitter started, there was a general sense that Twitter was a little bit more of a sort of, kind of post-school, university, college-educated, kind of, cognoscenti, digerati, call it what you will. Slightly broader now, but probably not too far from that. So is your general audience, is your GP on Twitter? Possibly not, but you will have a group of people who are potentially very influential who are on Twitter, but they are not necessarily representative of your total demographic. So you might talk to them on Twitter slightly differently than you would talk to a more general audience in another channel.